The Naked Truth Report is sponsored by Kathleen Wells on AM 870, The Answer.
Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster, Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Long Beach in the house.
Welcome. Good evening to the Naked Truth Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Wells. We're going to have a great show for you today. I'm excited. I'm always excited. I love talking about this issue because not enough people know. And I think listening to the show, I feel like I'm informing people. I'm informing my truth warriors and mythbusters out there about what's going on regarding illegal immigration. Immigration, this is one data point that I have. One data point that I have is this. For every 10% increase in immigration, Black America is adversely impacted by 1/3 of 1% of her wealth. She loses 1/3 of 1% of her wealth. Do you understand that? And there has been a, 700% increase in immigration since the 70s, since the 1970s. See, this is the thing. When you talk to people, this is something that I always say. If you're going to talk about politics, you have to know data and you have to know history. If you don't know data, if you don't know history, you shouldn't bother. You shouldn't bother to opine on politics. This is something that I say all the time, correct? This is something I say all the time. This is my 5th month. This is the 5th month of the Naked Truth Report. The Naked Truth Report, AM 870, The Answer. This is the 5th month. And what have we learned in these last 5 months? We've learned that we've learned the data from Steve Camarada with the Center for Immigration Studies. We learned the data from Peter Kirsnow with the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. We learned the data from John Vinson with American Immigration Control Foundation. We learned the data from Dan Stein with FAIR. We also learned from the building inspector, the Los Angeles building inspector, that, at least 75% of the construction workers in Los Angeles are illegal. At least 75%. We learned that. Okay. Also, what did we learn? We learned from Prince Abdul Ali of Siraj of Afghanistan that having open borders is a bad thing. Having open borders is not a good thing. We learned that, right? So I was reading an article. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is that this thing about, Black folks, the Senate race in Alabama is coming up in what, two days and 48 hours, Tuesday? And Deval Patrick from Massachusetts and Cory Booker from New Jersey, they went into Alabama to get Black voters to vote for the Democrat Jones. And I think they said something to the effect that, if Black voters do not vote, it's impossible for the Democrat to win. And still today, when you talk to too many Black Americans still vote Democrat, and they don't understand why they should not be voting Democrat. When you say that, I say this often on my social media, the Democrats have destroyed Black America. I say this often, and too many people don't understand why that is, or they don't believe it. They think it. In fact, I called into the Washington Journal, Sunday, last week, I called into the Washington Journal, and they had Al Green, Congressman Al Green was there, and he was talking about the fact that he's going to file impeachment charges against President Obama. So I called into the Washington Journal, and I said to Al Green, listen, Democrats have failed Black America. Democrats have had 5 decades of failure for Black folks. They have kept Black folks uneducated, ill-informed, incarcerated, and poor. And do you know that Al Green actually agreed with me? Can you imagine? He actually agreed with me. He said, that's true. That's true. However, and I said, and so you're saying that you oppose President Trump because of his personality. You want to file impeachment charges because of your opinion about President Trump's personality. Al Green agreed with me. He agreed with me, but he said something like, well, let's see, but President Trump is a bigot. That President Trump is a bigot. And so I feel, so we have to get rid of him. You see how they use racism. They use this term racism, white supremacy, to keep black folks. Oh, you say someone's a racist. Oh my God, you can't do it. But to me, the epitome of racism, the epitome of white supremacy is the destruction of Black America. Does that make sense? The epitome of white supremacy, of racism, is to destroy Black America. And, this is what Al Green's response was. He was like, well, but Republicans haven't done anything for Black folks. But see, when you call in a Washington Journal, you call in and you can't really respond to the guest. You talk and then they cut you off and then the guest responds to you, but you can't respond back. So, I wanted to respond back and say, listen, Republicans don't owe Black Americans anything because we don't vote for them loyally. We hadn't voted for them loyally for 5 decades. Do you understand that? In other words, this is the thing. If voting is like quid pro quo. Okay, so if you vote for someone, you're supposed to get something back in return, right? You're supposed to get a benefit back in return for voting for that person. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Black folks, they don't get that. They don't get that they're supposed to be getting something for their vote. They don't understand that simple concept. It's a simple concept. Like if I go into the store and pay money, I'm going to get something back. So your vote is like $1 or like money. Right? And you have your vote. So you give the Democrats your money, your vote. What do you get back? And Black folks don't understand this concept. If you're not voting for the Republican Party, they don't owe you anything. Can you understand that? It's just very frustrating to me. It's just, it's just such a simple thing, and they can't grasp it. So anyway, I was reading an article. In fact, I had it pulled up, but I don't have it anymore. The article was about how Black Americans have lost wealth under Obama, right? They've lost wealth under Obama. 8 years of Obama, and they've lost wealth, particularly in home ownership. It was something like, there was a program that I can't remember the name. I think it was called HAMP, H-A-M-P. Don't quote me on this, but there was a program that was instituted under Obama, and that program was corrupt. It was an abject failure for Black Americans. So Black Americans under Obama have lost wealth. 8 years of Obama, and we have lost wealth. But the thing of it is that you hear that Obama spent $10 trillion. The debt increased by $10 trillion. Where did that money go? That's the question I wonder. Where did the money go? Where was that $10 trillion spent? Was it spent on illegal immigrants in Iran? I don't know. But anyway, my guest today, I just get so excited, right? Everyone knows I'm excitable. So the thing of it is, my guest today is Chenelle. She was my guest last week. I have her here again this week, because there's some things that she wanted to discuss. Chenelle Temple is my guest. Chenelle, welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me back.
You guys remember Chenelle Temple? She talked to us about, what did you talk to us about last week?
Last week I talked about the ITIN number and, how the Black community has been destroyed by illegal immigration.
Right. So Chenelle Temple's organization that she works with is We the People Rising. And also she has a new organization that she works with called BlacksInSanctuaryStates.org. This is a new organization that Chenelle has started called BlacksInSanctuaryStates.org. I encourage everyone to go and check out this website. It's just getting started. And, if you're a Black person and you're in a sanctuary state, I encourage you to go check out this organization. They're just getting formed, and they're getting inform, they're getting formed to inform Black people about how immigration, illegal and legal, impacts Black America adversely. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is E-Verify.
Yes.
I brought you back this week because there are a few things that you wanted to discuss: disability benefits for illegal immigrants, E-Verify, and referendum SB 54. So there are three things that we're going to discuss. You wanted to discuss them last week. We didn't discuss them last week. So we're going to discuss them this week, okay? So talk to me about E-Verify. What do you want to inform the listeners?
Okay, I want to give a little bit about my background. I used to do payroll for up to about 500 people. And E-Verify is a program under the federal government. The website is uscis.gov/E-Verify. E-Verify was put in place for employers to be able to verify electronically information about people who they were employing. And by being electronic, it would work faster, faster for the process. Since E-Verify, a lot of employers with illegal immigration, they're not honoring E-Verify because E-Verify is connected to a couple of government, programs or agencies, like Social Security, also USCIS, which has to do with immigration. So when you hire someone, you're using what's called an I-9 form. Mm-hmm. And this I-9 form is mandatory. The I-9 form, whether you are legal or illegal, the employer is still required to fill out this I-9 form. Now, the last decade, they have manipulated the powers that's be out there, the ones who want all these legal immigrants, the large corporate companies. Somehow they have manipulated the program, especially the I-9 form. Earlier this year was 4 pages. It's cut down to 3 pages, okay? And the I-9 form, you have to verify whoever you hire. You have to fill out this I-9 form. Again, whether they're legal or illegal, it's mandatory. So they have manipulated this form to fix it where it's easy to hire illegal immigrants. And this is a government form, keep in mind. This is a government form that's mandatory. So that's one thing I want to put out there in regards to E-Verify. E-Verify also has to do with the W-4. When you start a job, you fill out a tax form, you let them know who you want to claim or how many exemption. That also has to do with E-Verify. But again, the E-Verify program is it's electronic, and that's why it's called E, and it's verified, electronic verified. That's what it stands for. And hopefully they'll bring it back. I just want to say there's rules and regulations on the book before E-Verify that should be honored. Like the IRS Publication 15, there's rules and regulations in IRS Publication 15 that says that if you have to be legal, you have to have a Social Security number to work in this country. Also, in that Publication 15, it also mentions that you can't use an ITIN number, and we know that they do. We know that they're using that ITIN number all over the place. But the IRS Publication 15 mentions that, no, you're not to use an ITIN number for employment. It's a 9-digit number, just like a Social Security number. So I think that wraps it up for E-Verify. It was put in place to help move the information along faster for employment purposes.
Okay, so the issue that we're thinking about or looking at is, we know now from the Los Angeles building inspector that 75% of the workers, at least on a construction job, are illegal immigrants, right? We know that. So the issue is, how are they working? Because they're illegal. Illegal immigrants are not supposed to be working. Is that correct?
That's correct. Again, these forms have been manipulated to get around the law, and that's how they're doing it. And with this I-9 form.
Right.
It used to be required you had to be a U.S. citizen. They have changed the form. You do not. You can be a non-U.S. citizen, and that's how they're doing it. They're using H-2 visas to replace American citizens in the workforce, and that's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's wrong.
Okay, so this is why I called, truth warriors and mythbusters out there in my listening audience, my truth warriors that I love. my Mythbusters that I love. This is what we learned from the Los Angeles building inspector. And this is what we learned from Drexel Johnson, who is the founder of the Young Black Construction Workers Association. We learned that Los Angeles is experiencing a construction boom, correct? We learned from the Los Angeles building inspector that at least 75% of the workers on a construction job during this construction boom are illegals. We learned that, right? Then we learned from Steve Lamb, the building. What is he? He's the building designer. We learned from Steve Lamb that Black workers are excellent contractors or construction workers. They do superb work. Then we also learned from Steve Camarada at the Center of Immigration Studies that illegal immigrants suppress wages. They suppress wages. Another thing that I learned, or I listened to on Washington Journal, which is C-SPAN if you're not familiar, I learned that they were talking about, they had a reporter with the Wall Street Journal who expressed the fact that, you know, despite the fact that President Trump has says, unemployment has been reduced, wages have still been suppressed. Wages are still low. But he never mentioned immigration. So I called, I always call into the Washington Journal. So I called in and I said, well, illegal immigrants keep wages suppressed, right? So why didn't the reporter I wish I can remember his name, why didn't the reporter from the Wall Street Journal mention the fact that illegal immigrants keep wages suppressed? That is the motivation, the rationale for developers to use illegal immigrants. That's the reason why they do that. Illegal immigration benefits the globalist. And this is why when Hillary was running for president, she said she wanted open borders. Remember? Do you remember that when Hillary said that she wanted the borders open? This is what the globalists want. This is an elite agenda. So when remember, you can go back and see some of my archived interviews that I've held on the Naked Truth Report. You can go to the Naked Truth Report YouTube channel and you'll see some of my archived interviews. And when you go back and look, you can see that I spoke with Al Sharpton about illegal immigration, and he's another one. That's, he talks about racism, and yet he supports illegal immigration. And illegal immigration is white supremacy. Why? Because it's the globalist agenda pushes for illegal immigration so that they can keep wages suppressed, correct? Do my listeners understand that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand the point that I'm trying to make? I hope you understand. Okay, so the other issue that we wanted to discuss, I'm speaking with Chenelle Temple. This is the Naked Truth Report on AM 870. I'm Kathleen Wells, your host. And the other issue that we want to talk about is disability benefits. Tell us what you learned about disability benefits and illegal immigrants, Chenelle.
Okay, I'm an activist out there in the community, and a lot of times people contact me, especially when they're disappointed and they feel that they're not applicable for certain benefits. Social Security is one of them. I'm not going to mention any names, but there was an incident, and I found out recently that Blacks are going in applying for benefits, and they're being denied. And they're being denied wrongly, and they're being denied in large numbers. Recently, I found out that Jeff Sessions in 2014 wrote a letter to Social Security, to the head commissioner of Social Security, in regards to illegal immigrants coming over here who are applying for Social Security benefits, SSI, and they are making them eligible, or they were making them eligible behind the fact that they could not speak English. So in other words, you come over here, you illegal, you don't have a social security number. And a lot of places have fixed it where you don't need a social security number anymore. That's another article that I found. Social Security had paid out so many millions of dollars to people who didn't even have a social security number, who were representatives. But they're coming over here and they're applying for benefits, and they are eligible for them. Congress is making them eligible for these benefits. So you come to this country, you can't speak the language, it's considered a disability. If you cannot speak English, again, that is considered a disability, and they're getting SSI, which is like welfare, Social Security welfare, without even working a day in this country, opposed to people who have worked decades in this country who they have denied benefits to. This is unfair. People have worked out there for years and contribute to Social Security, and they have denied them. I know people still trying to get their Social Security. This is wrong. This is wrong.
This is very wrong. In fact, I have the letter in my hand, and it's dated May 1st, 2014, and it is written by, it's a letter by Senator Sessions. He was the senator at that time, ranking member of the Senate Budget Committee, and you can find the letter, the U.S. City Committee on the Budget. It's dated May 1st, 2014. Sessions investigates disability benefits being awarded on the basis of inability to speak English. Can you imagine? Listen. Senator Sessions sent a letter today to the acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration regarding high rates of approval for Social Security disability claims, including the fact that the inability to communicate in English is being treated as a determinative factor in getting approved for these taxpayer-funded benefits. Dear Acting Commissioner Calvin, I write to express my concerns about the expanding number of individuals now qualified for Social Security disability insurance, and to raise a specific issue, the basis for many of these individual disability classifications, where the inability to speak English is a determinative factor. The number of people receiving SSDI increased from just under 6.7 million in 2000 to almost 11 million in 2012. The population of the United States grew by 9.7% between 2000 and 2010, but the number of SSDI applications grew by 230%. According to an Investor's Business Daily article, between 2009 and April 2012, the number of people who signed up for disability benefits was twice the number of people who started new jobs. See, did you hear that, listeners? I mean, did you hear that? Did you hear that? They're like see, this is why I say, when you break the law in one area, the ramifications seep out all over the place, okay? It's just, it's compounded, right? One thing after another, one thing after. Remember, Democrats told us that illegal immigrants only work jobs Americans don't want. People are saying, listen, they were telling us only 11 million people were illegal.
Now it's 30. First they started off with 5. First they said 5.
I mean, the whole thing. Listen, this is the bottom line. And this is why, let me tell you something, folks. When these Democrats say, oh, well, this, that, and the other, I don't believe anything they say. They've been lying to Black folks for 5 decades.
Yeah. Yes.
And this is why we stay behind the 8 ball. Because who would think that someone would qualify for disability benefits because they can't speak English? Who would ever think that? Okay? That is do you realize how absurd that is? All American citizens should be up in arms about this. Why wasn't this in the mainstream media? Okay? I mean, why wasn't this in the press Americans would feel that to know that illegal immigrants are getting disability benefits because they can't speak English?
What about all the Americans that for decades who have contributed to Social Security and to this day they're still fighting for their benefits? It's wrong and it's unfair.
So obviously something's going on here that's, it's bigger than we realize.
It is. It is.
There's some underground stuff
Yes.
going on, some
Yes.
heavy duty stuff, because this is absurd. And I'm so glad Sessions
Yes.
is our Attorney General. Because listen, Sessions, and let me tell you how crazy Black folks are. They hate Sessions. They're crazy. Okay. They don't know what's going on. They need to zip their lips because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
If you don't, like I said, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know data, if you don't know history, zip it. I don't want, you should not opine on politics. Okay. Right? Am I right? Okay. This is the Naked Truth Report. I just want to say for folks who just tuned in, you're listening to the Naked Truth Report. I'm Kathleen Wells, your host. My guest is Chenelle Temple. Chenelle is with the We the People Rising, and she's starting a new group called BlacksInSanctuaryStates.org. This is the Naked Truth Report. I'm Kathleen Wells, your host. You're listening to AM 870. You know what? We're going to open up the phone lines, and when we come back from the break, we're going to take phone calls. But first, when we immediately come back from the break, we're going to talk about referendum SB 54. State Bill 54 is the bill that says it's a sanctuary state bill. It's making California a sanctuary state. So we're going to go to a break. We'll talk about, when we come back from the break, we'll talk about referendum SB 54, and we'll open up the phone lines and take your phone calls. The call-in number is 866-870-5752. That's 866-5752. I'm Kathleen Wells, your host of the Naked Truth Report. My guest today is Chenelle Temple with We the People Rise, and we'll be right back. Thanks for listening.
Are you a local business owner? Are you interested in increasing customer counts and store traffic or increasing traffic to your website? If you answered yes, then you need to advertise on the Naked Truth Report. For more information on how to become a sponsor, please reach out to RJ Beaton at 818-517-KRLA. That's 818-517-5752. Or email us at rj@krla870.com. That's rj@krla870.com. Kathleen Wells, the host of the Naked Truth Report, wants to hear from you. Just like our borders, the phone lines, well, they're wide open. Call in at 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. 866-870-KRLA.
Welcome back. Good evening. You're listening to the Naked Truth Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Wells. My guest this evening is Chenelle Temple, who works with the group We the People Rising. We the People Rising. She's also beginning a new group called BlacksInSanctuaryStates.org. Go check that out. If you're a Black in a sanctuary state, go check that out. BlacksInSanctuaryState.org. I was just talking about the fact that illegal immigrants are entitled to, how should I say that? Jeff Sessions wrote a letter back in 2014 about the fact that illegal immigrants were claiming disability benefits because of their inability to speak English. And I was reading the parts of this letter, and it says, this is one excerpt I'm reading. It says, one contributing factor in the rise of SSDI payments might be the policy of allowing people to qualify for benefits more quickly if they are incapable of communicating in English. The Social Security Act has a medical vocational allowance, which includes a matrix of 4 factors: physical ability, age, education, and work experience. The education factor is not limited to actual education as it relates to schooling, but it includes a linguistic limitation on the ability to communicate in the English language. I'm concerned that the administration might be misconstruing 42 U.S.C. 1383 C1A, which requires that the claimant's physical, mental, educational, or linguistic limitation of such individual, including any lack of facility with the English language, be taken into account when making disability determinations. Do you guys understand that? They're saying that your inability, they're saying that the inability to speak English is one of the 4 factors, it satisfies or qualifies for one of the branches in this 4 matrix tool. Well, I can't speak English, and that's a limitation on my ability to have a job. That's what, I'm being limited to work because I can't speak English. Okay, so this has been going on. They've seen this increase since 2000. Now, hey, guess what? The reverse has happened. American citizens can't get jobs because they can't speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? I mean, do you see how crazy this is, folks? Do you see how crazy this is? Okay, so the next thing we're going to discuss, that's the disability benefits. We discussed E-Verify. We discussed the disability benefits because they can't speak English. And now, I guess, you think American citizens can get disability benefits because they can't speak Spanish?
Maybe I should apply and try and see.
Okay, so now we're going to discuss referendum State Bill 54, which is the sanctuary state bill, SB 54, and there's a referendum now. Tell us about that, Chenelle.
Okay, someone is circulating a referendum, thank God. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to rescind this SB 54 sanctuary state bill. And we need to shut it down here in California, because California is the groundwork, it's ground zero for all this illegal immigration. And if we could shut it down here, hopefully other states will not follow California. We know some states have already declared, sanctuary states. But this referendum is to stop the SB 54, which is going to start January 1st, 2018. This bill was made, SB 54 was made up by Kevin DeLeon, and of course, Jerry Brown, the governor of California, approved it. Again, someone has started a referendum. Let me give you the website. The website is C like in cat, B like in boy. I'm sorry, it's SB. It's SB54, the word referendum.com. Again, that website is SB54 referendum.com. You can go on that site and you can sign up to volunteer. You can also donate money, and they have their contact information, and they have a brief description what the referendum is about. Let me read a little of it. It says, this is the official SB referendum to stop the new criminal and illegal sanctuary law in California. Okay, so that's just a brief synopsis of what they're talking about. And we know that it is criminal activity since the border has been open. But hopefully everybody in the sound of my voice will go to this website and will sign up, the volunteer. Hopefully they also need donations, because they need to be able to collect signatures and stuff like that. They have a limited amount of time, which is 90 days. And the 90 days is going to be up, I think, the end of this month. So we really need people to step in and step up and help, okay, with this referendum to stop sanctuary states.
Okay, so if you oppose this idea of California being characterized as a sanctuary state, if you're against that, let me encourage you, my listeners, to go to referendum on SB 54. So it's SB 54 referendum.org.
No, .com.
.com. So it's SB54referendum.com. I encourage my listeners, if you oppose California being characterized as a sanctuary state, that you participate. They need signatures. That's it. They need signatures, and they have a time frame in which they must get these signatures. And we think it's 90 days. So I encourage my listeners, if you oppose California being a sanctuary state, to go to the website sb54referendum.com. Okay, why don't we take a call now from Ernest in Los Angeles. Hello, Ernest. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hello.
Hi.
Glad to be on your show.
Thank you.
I wanted to say that I'm glad to hear that you're speaking out and taking a stand for Black Americans and all Americans, and I applaud your choice of allowing Sister Temple to speak out on your show.
Oh, do you have a question for Chenelle?
Yes. My question is to Sister Temple, what is your personal opinion about Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas and the LA County Board of Supervisors?
I don't know if people remember, but Mark Ridley Thomas' vote was the deciding vote to bring this illegal immigration to the county of LA. I distinctly remember that. They made an announcement a week before the final vote, and they let us know it's 5 supervisors. They let us know that 2 supervisors said yay and 2 supervisors said nay. In other words, 2 was for and 2 was not. They let us know a week in advance that his vote was going to be the deciding vote. And when time came, he voted for LA County to open its borders to illegal criminals. Mark Ridley Thomas. That's what he did. That's my opinion of him. One of my opinions of him. I can't announce my true opinion of him. I can't say it.
Well, I mean, everyone knows that my position, in fact, that's like the intro to my show, The Naked Truth Report. Black Americans have been destroyed by Democrats and black politicians. Black politicians and Democrats have sold out Black Americans. So when you hear this cry, this plea of the Democrat in Alabama asking Black voters to get out and vote for him, it's like, you know, we need to understand that we have been destroyed by this party. Do you understand what I'm saying? 5 decades. I've done all the data here on the Naked Truth Report, and we know that illegal immigration adversely impacts Black America, all Americans. We know that. That's undeniable. That's undeniable. Democrats lie to us for 5 decades. That's undeniable. That we can prove it. We can prove it. So why do we continue to go down this same road? Do you know, Ernest? Are you still on the line, Ernest?
Oh, yeah, still here.
Okay, so the question is, why do we as Black folks continue to vote Democrat? Can you answer that for me? Because I don't know. I can't figure it out.
I do have a lot to say about our election system. It would probably take a series of shows if you want the details, because I've been following it for quite a while and documenting it on my media, the Justice Channel. But lately, there's been they call it a crisis of turnout of voters, period, in the state of California, especially in Los Angeles. The turnout for Black voters is very low, and that's simply because we don't have anybody to vote for, Democrat or Republican. And
why can't you vote for a Republican? I'm not sure of that.
Well, if you look at the, in fact, if you've been following my media on Facebook and my blog, you'll see, especially in these last elections, we had city elections, we had county elections. The Democrats and Republicans are supporting the same corrupt politicians, and most of them support illegal immigration.
Oh, well, I know that illegal immigration is a policy of the Democrats. I don't know if Republicans support illegal immigration. They have, but the good news now is that Trump is a non-establishment politician. Okay, he's not part of the establishment, and so this guy Roy Moore in Alabama, Blacks should vote for him. because he's going to follow Trump's agenda. And Trump's agenda is a good thing for Black folks. So thank you, Ernest, for calling in. Now I want to take a call from Stacy. Stacy, are you in New York?
Hello. Hello.
Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm actually listening to you live for the first time because I've been listening to you for several months and I've gone into your archives. And you mentioned Yvette Carnell, who I've been listening to for a couple of years now. And I am on your side when it comes to illegal immigration. Yesterday I was in a supermarket at a butcher counter, and there was another young Black woman standing next to me, and she says to me, "I wish I spoke Spanish." And I said, "This is the United States of America. You're not supposed to have to speak Spanish." And she said, "Well, I'm not able to get a job because everyone wants me to speak Spanish." And we're insane. So I'm so glad to hear voices like yours and Miss Temple, and I'd like to know if there's anyone here in New York who is working in this same area.
Oh, Stacey, I really appreciate you listening to my show and calling in from New York. That's fantastic. And gee, let's see, Yvette Carnell, everyone should know that Yvette Carnell is on the internet and her program is called Breaking Brown. She's not in New York. Yvette, I think, is in Georgia or Atlanta, Georgia. She's on the internet, Yvette Carnell. I don't know them. I don't know of anyone in New York. And this is the problem. Enough of us are not getting informed because our media has been devastated, decimated, has been bought out. I just recently heard that, let's say, Roland Martin with what is that called? News One, is that his news show is being canceled. Thank goodness, because Roland Martin is the one that fed the questions to Donna Brazile for Hillary Clinton during the debate against Trump.
No.
Yes, and I think that's why he's being let go, actually. But Roland Martin, we need more media because we need more Black folks informed. But until that happens, Stacey, I want to thank you for calling into the Naked Truth Report, and I want you to encourage you to share this show, share the archive shows. Please share. Get folks to listen and get folks to subscribe to my YouTube channel because we need to build a movement. We must build a movement on the grassroots level. Stacey, I really appreciate you calling. Okay, now we have Vaughn from Orange County. Hi, Vaughn. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Okay. The question I wish to ask. Oh,
yeah, we're getting feedback. Okay. What's going on? You got your radio on? What's?
Oh, yeah. Let me turn that down a bit.
Okay, great.
The question I'd like to ask. First of all, I'd like to applaud Chenelle for bringing it, enlighten us and bringing attention, of the regarding the Black issue. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to ask her a question. What has she heard of as of late regarding the two illegal aliens on they hired two illegal aliens on two commissions in Huntington Park? And number two, can she give us any personal instance of any loss of employment on her part, and what took place, and can she enlighten us on the results of her loss? And what I really find rather pathetic is, but laughable, is not insane, why illegal alien who can't speak English, that qualifies him or her to click SSI.
I think all Americans need to know this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's an outrage.
Yeah, that's just insanity.
Yes.
So I'll get off the phone now, and she can answer my questions. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Number one.
Bye.
Thank you.
Vaughn.
Thank you for those questions. The first question in regards to Huntington Park, my organization, We the People Rising, we were right on the spot, right on time. This was a couple of years ago before Trump even stepped up to run for president. And Huntington Park had announced that they had hired two illegal aliens as commissioners for Huntington Park. So immediately our group, we answered. We went to Huntington Park and we just started, asking questions. We started interrupting, what they were trying to do. And it's been going on for 2 years. We have stood up there and read rules and regulations that they deny. We have exposed, and we got other people in the city of Huntington Park involved too. And they have exposed things that Huntington Park is doing. And yet and still, the 2 commissioners are still sitting up there. They're no longer coming to the city council meetings, but to our knowledge, they still have the appointments, which we feel are wrong. There are thousands of Americans out of job who could have had those 2 commissioner jobs who are U.S. citizens. It's unfair, and Huntington Park needs to be cited for that. Number 2, I think everybody knows now, I had a job, I had a bookkeeping job in El Segundo, and I was let go. I was approached and let go and told that I did not speak Spanish, and I lost my job. At the time, I lost my apartment. I lost just about everything I had because I didn't have any income. And it's so unfair. And for blacks in the county of LA and the state of California, I mean, in your own country, you can't even find a job. This is wrong, and it's got to stop. And the federal government is going to have to step in. So that's what I have to say for those 2 questions. And thank you, Vaughn, for calling in.
Well, so what should we talk about now? Let's see. We talked about the referendum, SB 54. Please, everyone out there who has a sanctuary, who is against or opposed to the fact that California is a sanctuary state, please get involved with the referendum, which means basically sign the petition or the referendum, sign it so that they can get the requisite numbers so that they can have this referendum come to the California legislature. Please, it's referendum. What is it? SB54.com.
Yes.
SB54.com. And one of the things that I wanted to read was, and I don't have it with me, was that I wanted to read the fact that after 8 years of Obama, Black Americans are worse off. And I wish someone could explain to me why most Blacks don't realize how politics works, how voting is quid pro quo. This is what, this is something I talked about when I had Dr. Claude Anderson as a guest on the show. This is something that he explains. And this is why I want to encourage listeners to go on YouTube and check out the lectures by Dr. Claude Anderson, because he explains how politics works, that it's quid pro quo. In other words, if you vote, think of your vote as like a dollar bill, okay? Your vote is a dollar bill. So if you give them your vote, like when you go into the store, you get something for that dollar bill, correct? Do you understand that? And so voting is that same thing. If I give them my vote, I'm supposed to get something in return for it, right? And and one of the things that Obama would say was this. He says, Obama would say, I'm not a president for Black Americans. I'm the president for all Americans. I understand what he's saying, but it seems like he was the president for illegal immigrants. He was, you're supposed to get, Black Americans voted for Obama more than like 90%, right? But I think the fact that Hillary lost, I think a lot of Blacks did not. They didn't vote for Trump, but they didn't come out and vote at all. Do you agree with that, Chenelle?
I agree with it. But there also was a surprising number of Blacks that did vote for Trump.
Well, yeah, I think Trump got more. He got 13% of the Black male vote. So he received more than expected, and he received more than any recent Republican candidate in history. So, I mean, that's a good thing. And I think that it's going to, let me ask you, what do you think about this Alabama election, special election that's taking place in 2 days with Roy Moore and Doug Jones? What do you think about that?
I think that Roy Moore is going to win. I'm from Mississippi, and where my people live is just 30 minutes from Mobile. When I moved down there, years ago, I bought my car from Mobile, Alabama. So I kind of know the area, and It's Republican based, also the state of Mississippi. And I think that Roy Moore is going to win. I really do.
I mean, are there a lot of Black Republicans in that area? In Alabama, you
surprisingly, you know, when I visited last year, and I was surprised that a lot of Blacks, I thought they would be in favor of Obama. No, they were in favor of Trump. And, you know, I was really surprised. So to me, it's more so a lot of Black Democrats out of there have crossed over, and they became Republicans because of Trump, because he offered more. And, you know, they need jobs too, because immigration is down there, believe it or not. They're in Mississippi, they're in Alabama, you know, not as much as California, but they're down there taking away jobs from Blacks. And I have witnessed this myself. So, but I have a strong feeling that he's going to win. I'm thinking positive.
Okay. And wasn't that sad that Stacey called in all the way from New York, and she said that a Black woman said, gosh, I wish I could speak Spanish to get a job?
Yes.
That was in New York, folks.
Yes.
Isn't that sad?
They're all
you know, and I don't have, listen, I took Spanish in college. Let me tell you, I took Spanish in college and I took French. That's, you know, I think knowing several languages is a good thing, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, but it should not be mandatory to speak another language to get a job.
You know, I feel bad. I mean, I paid my taxes all these decades in English, and now to get benefits, I have to speak Spanish. That's ridiculous. It's an insult, especially with the Social Security, and you know, and they're giving the money away free because they don't speak English.
So you're listening to the Naked Truth Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Wells, and we are on AM 870, The Answer. And, you know, I want to encourage my listeners, my truth warriors and mythbusters, to go to the Naked Truth Report YouTube page. Please subscribe. And I want to encourage you to see the archive shows and to share them, share them, share them, share them. We're trying to build something here. We're trying to build something. We're trying to make a difference. We're trying to be impactful. I love that word. We're trying to be impactful. We're trying to have an impact on what's taking place, how we're being adversely impacted by this entire system of illegal immigration. So, yeah, I want to encourage you to go to the Naked Truth Report YouTube channel and subscribe. And, you know, I want to give out my love song to my truth warriors and my mythbusters who have deep roots in California, who have deep roots in America, and deep roots in Los Angeles. And also, you know, I want you to know I'm the quintessential California girl. I know she's supposed to be blonde and blue-eyed, but she's also me because I went to college in California. So here's my love song to my folks with deep roots in California, deep roots in Los Angeles, and deep roots in America. I love you.